This is the advertising campaign that snared millions of Indians in a massive fraud. But it's not just Australian cricketer Brett Lee who may have unwittingly been caught up in the scandal. Australian government officials, political parties and a Gold Coast landmark have become entangled in one of the world's largest Ponzi schemes.
Touching hearts, building confidence.
The poorest of the poor in India invested in these land leases and these plots, hoping to make good their future, and have been let down. But instead the money's been spent on the Gold Coast, in buildings, in situations which is unacceptable.
Mohanlal Gupta was a pearls investor and agent who convinced his village to sign up to the schemes. They lost everything. He travelled 200 kilometres to Lucknow to tell his story to 7:30.
I depressed, then I feel the investors what they feel.
The company is accused of siphoning at least $133 million to Australia.
The Indians want that money back because it's poor people's money and they deserve to get it back.
The origin of the scandal goes back to the 1980s, with the Pearls group of companies offering high rates of return to some of India's poorest investors.
Because poverty in India, many of them invested their money buy anyway to remain hungry one time.
The land investment schemes were the brainchild of former Punjabi milkman Nirmal Singh Bangu.
We can say Nirmal Singh Bangu was mastermind, or his team was a mastermind who knew that how to pick out money from the people.
But by the late 1990s, Pearls was being heavily scrutinised by Indian authorities. And as early as 2002, the Securities Exchange Board of India was ordering Pearls to return some of its funds to investors. The company fought back with a series of legal appeals.
They have used the legal process, we can say, to delay them from the clutches of this hard and harsh law, which really is good for Indian people and Indian investors.
In 2008, the Securities and Exchange Board of India barred a Pearls company and its directors from dealing in securities for 10 years. That order appears to have been ignored, and the Pearls Group began turning its attention to Australia.
It was a safe country to go and reside and divert all the investment which you have invested and collected in India.
In late 2009, the Australian government body Austrade introduced Pearls to the Gold Coast. A local company, Pearls Australasia, was set up with a $100 million capital injection from India. The following year, Pearls Australasia purchased the Sheraton Mirage on the Gold Coast for $62 million. In a written statement to 7:30, Austrade admits to being in the dark about the history of the Pearls Group in India.
No record has yet been located indicating Austrade staff were aware at that time Pearls Group was subject to any court or regulatory order.
How difficult would it have been to pick up what was happening with the Pearls Group by any due diligence?
It would have been extremely easy even for a person that doesn't do corporate investigations.
Corporate intelligence expert Niall Coburn says previously unknown companies wanting to spend tens of millions of dollars in Australia should always be scrutinised.
Surely it raises red flags and causes individuals to ask, who is really behind this and how do they get their money? These are the issues.
Do you think any due diligence was done at all?
It looks to me not.
This is where Pearls Australasia spent some of its money in 2011. A $19 million contribution to the development of apartment blocks in inner city Brisbane. One of the joint venture companies formed at this time was called Metro Pearls Madison, which became a donor to the Liberal National Party. According to electoral disclosures, Metro Pearls Madison donated $10,000 to the Liberal National Party fundraiser Forward Brisbane Leadership in August 2011, and a further $25,000 to the LNP in Queensland the following year. Pearls Australasia has also confirmed it made a series of smaller donations totalling just over $500 to the LNP and over $3,000 to the Labor Party. India's Central Bureau of Investigation raided Pearls Group offices in 2014. The Indian company's legal defences were crumbling.
They formed all the companies in legal and proper way, but the intentions were fraudulent.
My question is directed to the Premier.
The only politician to have raised the alarm back in Queensland at the time was the then Palmer United MP, Dr Alex Douglas. His question in Parliament was effectively ignored.
I thought, if I could find out on very limited information, how come all these people, all of them, and not one of them would raise a question about doing business with Pearls?
The Pearls Group empire finally came crashing down last month with the arrest of its patriarch Nirmal Singh Bangu. Indian authorities are now looking at how to untangle the Pearl Group's complex web of financial investments in Australia.
You may have between 150 to 500 mil transferred from this illegal scheme from India to Australia. The question is, how was those funds mixed with entities on the Gold Coast, my group, and then there was a number of joint venture constructions as well.
Pearls Australasia has changed its name to My Group. The Australian company declined requests for an interview, but a spokeswoman said directors were unaware of concerns about the Pearls Group and will cooperate with Indian authorities. It's a long and painful wait for Indian investors.
Some peoples in Maharashtra, as I know, were on the verge of suiciding themselves because their entire life savings were invested in this type of companies.
The impact on me, my friends, my relatives. So we feel I cannot get their money back.
Anyone who's actually been funded by them needs to be, it should be shut down immediately, and there should be further investigations.